They say revenge is best served cold. Zara Lennox didn't serve it cold. She froze an entire empire. 6 months ago, Ryan Kong signed her away for $50 million. Not because he stopped loving her, but because he thought she was replaceable. He was wrong. Because the uncle he feared most didn't just marry Zara to hurt him. He fell in love with her, and when a Korean mafia boss falls in love, he doesn't give apologies. He doesn't give warnings. He gives power. Zara isn't just Mrs. Kong now that she's not just the award-winning architect. She owns 40% of her ex-fiancé's company. Her husband just bought out Ryan's biggest investors. And today, she's walking back into the building where she was once ignored. Men whisper. Boards panic. Stocks tremble. And Ryan? Ryan is watching everything he built collapse, not through bloodshed, but through strategy. Because Desung taught Zara something Ryan never understood. Power doesn't shout. Power waits. And revenge? Revenge is making the person who broke you beg for mercy you'll never give. If you love stories where betrayal meets intelligence, subscribe now. Because this channel is where women don't beg, they rise. This is part 2. Where the woman they discarded becomes untouchable. Where love becomes a weapon. And where one mistake begins to cost everything. The last time Zara walked into Kong Industries, she was the woman Ryan sold. 6 months later, she came back owning it. Her heels clicked against the marble lobby floor, each step echoing like a countdown. Employees stopped mid-conversation, phones frozen halfway to ears, coffee cups suspended in air. The whispers started immediately, a wave of recognition and disbelief that followed her to the elevator. Zara pressed the button for the 43rd floor and watched her reflection in the polished doors. She barely recognized herself. Gone was the woman who'd begged Ryan to reconsider, who'd cried on this very elevator as her world shattered. In her place stood someone harder. Sharper. Dangerous. The doors opened to reveal the executive conference room, and 12 pairs of eyes turned to stare. Gregory Kong sat at the head of the table, looking like he'd aged a decade. Ryan occupied the seat to his right, dark circles under his eyes, suit rumpled in a way the old Ryan would never have allowed. Victoria Chin sat rigid and cold, her perfectly manicured nails drumming against her Hermes clutch. And there, directly across from Ryan's empty seat, was Zara's chair. Waiting. Ms. Lennox, Gregory's voice carried ice. You're late. Zara smiled as she took her seat, placing her tablet deliberately on the table. It's Mrs. Kong now, actually. And I'm precisely on time. The room went silent. Mrs. Kong. The name they'd deemed her unworthy of, now claimed through the one man Gregory feared most. Ryan's face drained of color. Zara, what are you? Board business, Mr. Kong. She didn't look at him as she powered on her tablet. Shall we begin reviewing the quarterly financials? For 2 hours, Zara watched Ryan present numbers that told a story of slow collapse. Declining profits. Lost contracts. Investors pulling out. She knew every reason why. Desung had been surgical in his dismantling of Kong Industries' foundation, and she'd helped him do it. Every client that left went to Lennox Architecture. Every investor who pulled out received better offers from Desung's holdings. It was beautiful in its precision. The Davidson account, Ryan's voice cracked slightly. They've chosen to go with another firm. Which firm? Gregory demanded. Ryan's jaw clenched. Lennox Architecture. All eyes turned to Zara. She met their stares with calm indifference. We made them a better offer. Superior design, competitive pricing. It's just business. This is a conflict of interest, Victoria spoke up, her voice sharp as glass. You're on our board while actively stealing our clients. I'm on your board because I own 40% of this company, Zara corrected, her tone pleasant but firm. And I'm running my own business, which has nothing to do with Kong Industries. Unless you're suggesting that board membership requires me to sabotage my own firm? That seems like questionable business advice, Victoria. The use of her first name, dropping the respectful formality, landed like a slap. Victoria's face flushed red, but before she could respond, Gregory's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his face went pale. 15-minute recess. He stood abruptly and left the room, Victoria trailing behind him. The other board members filed out, leaving Zara and Ryan alone. The silence stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. Zara. Ryan's voice was barely above a whisper. Please. Can we talk? We are talking. You're presenting quarterly losses. I'm representing shareholder interests. Very professional. You know what I mean. He stood, moving around the table toward her. Just 5 minutes. Please. Zara gathered her materials without looking up. I don't think that's appropriate. I'm a married woman, Ryan. And you're engaged to Melissa. What would people think? The irony wasn't lost on him. He'd used those same excuses to hide their relationship from his family. Now she was throwing his weapons back at him. I made a mistake. Ryan's voice broke. The biggest mistake of my life. I see what I lost, and You lost nothing. Zara finally looked at him, her eyes cold. You traded me. Willingly. With relief in your eyes. You didn't lose me, Ryan. You sold me. And now you want to renegotiate after closing the deal? That's not how business works. She walked toward the door, but Ryan grabbed her arm. I love you. I always loved you. Zara looked down at his hand on her arm, then up at his face. Something dangerous flickered in her eyes, something she'd learned from 6 months with a man who knew how to command respect. Let go. 2 words. Quiet. Absolute. Ryan released her immediately. You love the idea of me, Zara said softly. The successful girlfriend who made you look good. But you never loved me enough to choose me. You loved me conditionally. And when those conditions changed, so did your love. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. You taught me that. Zara opened the door. Now if you'll excuse me, I have lunch with my husband. The man who sees my worth every single day and never makes me question it. She left him standing there, walked through the lobby with her head high, and stepped into the waiting car where Desung sat with a knowing smile. How'd it go? He asked, pulling her into his arms. Ryan tried to apologize. Desung's body tensed. Did he touch you? He grabbed my arm. I handled it. How? I used my scary voice. The one I learned from you. Zara smiled against his chest. He let go pretty fast. Desung laughed, the tension leaving his shoulders. That's my girl. Terrifying board members without me having to break anyone's hands. I'm very proud of my restraint. Zara pulled back to look at him. You know what? Seeing him today, I felt nothing. No anger, no hurt. He's just irrelevant now. Good. Desung cupped her face tenderly. Because tonight you're going to become very relevant to about 500 important people. What did you do? His grin was dangerous. We're something that makes me forget how to breathe. The Metropolitan Museum's charity gala glittered with New York's elite. Zara stood in front of her mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back. Deep emerald silk hugged every curve, diamonds scattered through her natural curls like stars. She looked like power incarnate. Desung appeared behind her, devastating in his tuxedo, his tattooed hands settling on her bare shoulders. You're going to stop every heart in that room. That's the plan. The museum was already packed when they arrived. Zara felt the whispers start immediately, heads turning, conversations stopping, eyes widening in recognition. 6 months ago, she'd been the unsuitable girlfriend. Now she was Kong Desung's wife, dripping in diamonds and confidence. Victoria Chin stood near the champagne fountain, surrounded by New York's most influential women. Her eyes went cold when she spotted Zara. Well, Victoria's voice carried across the marble floor. If it isn't the social climber herself. Tell me, dear, how does it feel to trade one Kong for another? Do they feel the same, or does the older model work differently? The women around her tittered. It was meant to humiliate, to reduce Zara to nothing more than a transaction. Zara felt Desung tense beside her, but she squeezed his hand. Her fight. She walked toward Victoria slowly, deliberately, every eye in the room tracking her movement. When she reached the group, she smiled, the smile Desung had taught her, the one that promised danger wrapped in politeness. Victoria, she said warmly, as if greeting an old friend. Still buying friendships with your husband's money, I see. Although I heard the Chin Empire isn't doing so well lately. Something about losing that Singapore contract? To my firm, if I remember correctly. Victoria's face flushed. You little. I'm actually not little anymore, Zara interrupted smoothly. I'm a board member of Kong Industries, owner of Lennox Architecture, and wife to one of the most powerful men in this city. But you're right about one thing, I did trade up. From a man who saw me as a transaction to a man who sees me as his equal. She turned to address the entire crowd. You all watched Ryan Kong trade me for $50 million. You watched his family dismiss me because I wasn't the right pedigree, the right color, the right connections. And you know what? I used to think that meant I wasn't enough. The room had gone completely silent. But I was wrong. I was always enough. More than enough. It was them who weren't enough for me. Ryan wasn't enough to choose love over money. His family wasn't enough to see past their prejudices. And this society wasn't enough to value a woman for her accomplishments instead of her last name. Women in the crowd leaned forward, hanging on every word. So I stopped trying to be enough for people who would never appreciate me. I started demanding people who were enough for me. A partner who chooses me every day. A man who never makes me question my worth. Someone who sees me as I am and loves me for it, not despite it. Zara looked back at Victoria. You asked if they feel the same. No, Victoria. Ryan treated me like a trophy he could discard when a better offer came along. Desung treats me like the partner I always deserved. One felt like settling. The other feels like coming home. She paused for effect. And speaking of homes, I'm donating $10 million tonight to the Women's Empowerment Foundation. Double whatever Kong Industries pledged. Because I believe in investing in women who know their worth. The applause started slowly, then built to a crescendo. Real applause. Genuine. Several women had tears in their eyes. Victoria Chin stood frozen as her power play backfired spectacularly. Desung was waiting when Zara returned to his side. That's my wife, he said loud enough for everyone to hear, then kissed her deeply, publicly claiming her in front of everyone who'd said she wasn't good enough. Across the room, Ryan stared at her like he'd never really seen her before. Like he was finally understanding what he'd thrown away. But Zara didn't care anymore. She had everything she needed. That night, back in their penthouse, Zara felt a wave of nausea as she kicked off her heels. She sat down abruptly, hand pressed to her stomach. Zara? Desung was beside her immediately. What's wrong? I don't know. I just feel off. The next morning, sitting on their bathroom floor with a pregnancy test, Zara watched 2 lines appear. 2 lines that changed everything. When Desung found her there an hour later, still staring at the test, he dropped to his knees beside her. What's wrong? Are you hurt? Silently, she handed him the test. She watched emotions flash across his face, shock, disbelief, then pure joy. His eyes filled with tears. We're having a baby? Zara nodded, and suddenly she was crying too. I'm scared. Your world is dangerous. What if something happens? What if you're enemies? Nothing will happen. Desung pulled her into his arms, fierce and protective. I'll make everything safe. Everything legitimate. Whatever it takes. You can't promise that. Watch me. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. I've spent 30 years in darkness. But you brought light. You and this baby. I will do whatever it takes to keep that light safe. Our child will inherit peace, not blood. Watching the determination in his eyes, Zara believed him. Over the following weeks, she watched Desung systematically transform his empire. He sold off questionable ventures. Cut ties with dangerous associates. Made deals, paid debts, turned everything legitimate. It cost him. Old allies felt betrayed. Enemies saw weakness. But Desung didn't care. He had something more important than fear now. He had a family to protect. Meanwhile, Zara and Desung accelerated their business strategy. Every client Kong Industries courted ended up choosing Lennox architecture instead. Not through sabotage, through superior work. Within 6 weeks, Kong Industries had lost 40% of their contracts. Then Desung made his move on the shares. Calling in favors, making deals, quietly buying every available share of Kong Industries. He didn't need a majority. Just enough for real power. By the end of the second month, Desung owned 30%. Combined with Zara's 40%, they controlled the company. The board meeting where this was revealed was spectacular. Gregory sat at the head of the table, looking older and defeated. Ryan beside him, dark circles under his eyes like he hadn't slept in weeks. This is unconscionable, Gregory said when the numbers were presented. A hostile takeover of my own company. Actually, Desung leaned back, completely relaxed. We're staging a legal acquisition of a publicly traded company. Should have kept it private if you wanted control. This is revenge, Victoria spat. Pure revenge. Desung's expression went cold. Your husband killed my father and stole my inheritance. I have forensic accounting showing embezzlement. The original will. Testimony from the lawyer's assistant who survived that convenient car accident. 30 years of documentation proving Gregory Kong built his empire on murder and theft. He slid a folder across the table. I could have gone to authorities years ago. But I wanted something better than justice. I wanted what was mine. So I built my own empire. And now I'm taking back what you stole. Desung looked directly at Ryan. Your father didn't give you a company, kid. He gave you stolen property. And now the rightful owner is taking it back. This is extortion, Gregory managed, his voice shaking. No. Desung's smile was cold. This is business. You have 3 choices. 1. Step down peacefully and hand over control. 2. Refuse and I release everything to the SEC, FBI, and every news outlet in the country. You'll spend your life in prison. Or 3. My personal favorite, you fight me, and I destroy everything so thoroughly that the Kong name becomes synonymous with fraud and failure. He let that settle over the room. What's it going to be, brother? Gregory looked at Ryan, at the board, at the empire built on blood. Then he looked at Desung and saw 30 years of patience and inevitable victory. I need time to consider. You have until tomorrow, Desung cut him off. After that, I start making calls. The meeting adjourned in chaos. As everyone filed out, Ryan approached Zara in the hallway. You knew, he said quietly. You knew what he was planning. Yes. And you helped him? Your father stole everything from Desung. Killed his father. Exiled him. And you, she met his eyes, you betrayed me for money. So yes, Ryan. I helped the man who sees my worth destroy the men who didn't. I loved you, Ryan said desperately. No, Zara corrected. You loved how I made you feel. You loved the idea of me. But you didn't love me enough to choose me when it mattered. She started to walk away, then turned back. Your father is going to lose everything. But you have a choice. Go down with him, defending a man who built his life on murder. Or step aside, let justice happen, and maybe salvage something of yourself. And if I step aside? Then Desung will show mercy. You'll work for us, diminished role, but you'll have a job. A salary. A chance to rebuild. Under your control? Ryan's laugh was bitter. Under the control of people who earned their power instead of stealing it. Zara's voice was steel. Choose wisely this time. 2 days later, Melissa Chin appeared at Zara's office, unannounced and visibly shaken. I need to talk to you, Melissa said. About Ryan. My mother. All of this. Zara gestured for her to sit. I was forced into that engagement. Melissa's voice was quiet. My mother has been grooming me my whole life. The right schools, friends, the right marriage. I never wanted Ryan. I never wanted any of this. She looked up, tears in her eyes. I wanted to tell you that day in the boardroom. When your ring was sitting there on that table. I wanted to scream that it was wrong. But I was too much of a coward. Zara studied her. Why are you telling me this now? Because I'm ending it. The engagement. My mother's control. All of it. Melissa's voice strengthened. And I wanted you to know I'm sorry. For my part in your pain. For not speaking up. Zara felt unexpected compassion. You were trapped too. Yes. But I'm done being trapped. Melissa stood. I also wanted to warn you. My mother is planning something. Meetings with Gregory. They're going to fight back. Let them try, Zara said simply. We're ready. After Melissa left, Ryan showed up at Zara's firm. He looked terrible, disheveled, exhausted, desperate. I need to talk to you, he said. Please, Zara. 5 minutes. Against her better judgment, Zara led him into her office. My father's going to fight this, Ryan said. He'll take Desung down, and you with him. You need to get out before it's too late. Is that why you came? To warn me? Or to ask me to stop? Both. Ryan stepped closer. I know I screwed up. But you don't have to destroy everything to prove your point. We can. We? Zara's laugh was harsh. There is no we, Ryan. There hasn't been for 6 months. There could be, Ryan said desperately. I ended it with Melissa. I told my father I'm done with arranged marriage bullshit. I choose you, Zara. I'm finally choosing you. Too late. Zara stood, walking to her office door and opening it. You had 3 years to choose me. 1,000 moments where you could have defended me, stood up for me, chosen me over your family's approval. And you didn't. Not once. I was scared. So was I. Zara's composure cracked. I was terrified every day that I wasn't good enough. That you'd wake up and realize I didn't fit. And instead of reassuring me, you proved every fear right. You sold me, Ryan. You signed a contract that said $50 million was worth more than 3 years of my love. I know, Ryan's voice broke. And I've regretted it every single day since. Good. Zara's voice went quiet and cold. You should regret it. You should live with that regret for the rest of your life. Because you didn't just lose a girlfriend. You lost the woman who would have built an empire with you. Who would have stood by you through anything. Who loved you so completely that she ignored every red flag, every warning sign, every moment you made her feel small. She stepped closer, her eyes blazing. You taught me something valuable, though. You taught me that I'm worth more than conditional love. Worth more than being someone's second choice. Worth more than a man who needs his family's permission to love me. Zara, please. Get out, Ryan. Zara's voice was final. And tell your father that if he tries to fight this, Desung will bury him. Not because I asked him to. But because that's what happens when you come for a man's family. Ryan left, and Zara sat at her desk, hands shaking. Not from fear. From power. From finally standing up for herself completely. That evening, she told Desung about Ryan's visit. He wants you back. Desung's voice was dangerous. He wants to renegotiate his mistake, Zara corrected. But I told him what he could do with his second chance. Which was? Nothing polite. Zara smiled. I also told him that if Gregory fights, you'll destroy him. Damn right I will. Desung pulled her close. But only if you want me to. I want justice. For you. For your father. For everyone Gregory hurt building his empire on blood. Then justice is what we'll get. Gregory chose to fight. It was his final mistake. Within 48 hours, Desung released everything to the SEC, FBI, and every major news outlet simultaneously. The evidence was damning. 30 years of fraud, embezzlement, and the suspicious circumstances around his father's death. The headlines were brutal. Kong Industries built on murder and fraud. Billionaire stole empire from brother after killing father. The FBI arrested Gregory at his office, cameras catching every moment. His face, shocked, aged, defeated, became the image on every screen in the city. Kong Industries' stock crashed. Clients fled. Partners distanced themselves. Within a week, the billion-dollar empire was worth almost nothing. Ryan called Zara 3 days later. Okay, his voice was broken. You win. I'll step aside. I'll work for you, under your terms. Just, help me save something. Anything. Zara met him at the same coffee shop where she and Desung had first connected. I'm sorry, Ryan said when she sat down. For all of it. For choosing wrong. For being a coward. For treating you like you were disposable. I forgive you, Zara said simply. Ryan's head snapped up, hope flickering. But I don't want you back, Zara continued. I forgive you because holding anger would only hurt me. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It means I'm releasing you from my life with peace instead of hatred. She pulled out a folder. This is the offer. VP of Operations, reporting to me. Half salary. No board seat, no decision-making power. You work, you rebuild your reputation through actual work. Ryan stared at the terms. This is humiliating. This is mercy, Zara corrected. Sign it or don't. Ryan signed. 1 year later, Zara stood at a podium accepting the Businesswoman of the Year award. 9 months postpartum, wearing a deep purple power suit, her natural hair in elegant curls, she looked every inch the empire builder she'd become. Her daughter Maya slept peacefully in Desung's arms in the front row, his tattooed hands gentle with his child, his eyes full of fierce pride watching his wife command the room. When I started Lennox Architecture, Zara said into the microphone, her voice carrying to every corner of the packed conference hall, I had talent and determination. But I also had doubt. Doubt that I deserved success. Doubt that I was good enough. She paused, making eye contact with women scattered throughout the audience. For 3 years, I tried to make myself smaller to fit into someone else's world. I changed my hair, my clothes, the way I spoke. I made myself digestible for people who would never truly accept me. And the worst part? I thought that was love. I thought that's what you did when you loved someone, you molded yourself into what they needed. Scattered nods from the audience. But I was wrong. Love doesn't ask you to shrink. Real love celebrates you exactly as you are. Real partnership means building together, not one person fitting into the other's mold. Her eyes found Desung's. He was watching her with that look, the one that said she was his entire world. I want to thank my husband, Kong Desung, who never once asked me to be anything other than myself. Who saw my worth when I'd forgotten it. Who gave me the space and support to remember who I'd always been. She turned back to the audience. This award isn't just mine. It belongs to every woman who's been told she's not enough. Every woman who's been treated like a transaction. Every woman who's had to choose between love and self-respect. Zara held up the award. I chose self-respect. And I found real love on the other side. I built an empire. I created a family based on truth instead of transactions. And I learned that the best revenge isn't destruction, it's success. It's living so well, so fully, so authentically that the people who discarded you realize exactly what they lost. The standing ovation was deafening. Women were crying, applauding, standing. Even some of the men looked moved. And in the back corner, unnoticed by most, Ryan Kong stood and clapped. Because even he could recognize truth when he heard it. After the ceremony, Ryan waited by Zara's car. That was a beautiful speech, he said quietly. Thank you. Zara shifted Maya in her arms, the baby's dark eyes curious about everything. She's beautiful, Ryan said, looking at the child. She has your eyes. And her father's stubbornness. Zara smiled at her daughter with pure love. Ryan was quiet for a moment. I'm dating someone. A teacher. She doesn't care about my last name or money. She just likes me. The actual me. That's good, Ryan. I'm happy for you. I've been in therapy, he continued. Working on everything. Understanding why I made the choices I did. Learning to be better. That's good too. I wanted you to know I get it now. What you said about conditional love. I loved you, but only within the boundaries my family set. I loved you, but not enough to defend you. And that's not real love. Zara nodded. I'm glad you're learning. Do you ever? He hesitated. Do you ever think about what could have been? If I'd chosen differently? Zara looked at her daughter, then across the parking lot where Desung was waiting, his tattooed arms crossed, his whole posture screaming protective husband. She thought about her thriving business, her genuine friends, her life built on truth. No, she said honestly. Because if you'd chosen differently, I wouldn't have this. I wouldn't have learned what real love feels like. I wouldn't have built the empire I have now. I wouldn't have Maya. She looked at Ryan with genuine peace. You choosing money over me was the best thing that ever happened to me. It hurt like hell at the time. But it freed me to find something real. So thank you, actually. Thank you for being a coward. Thank you for showing me exactly what I didn't want. Because it led me to everything I needed. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. I really messed up, didn't I? Yes, Zara said gently. But you're learning from it. That's more than most people do. And maybe your next relationship will be different. Maybe you'll choose better next time. I hope so. Ryan wiped his eyes. For what it's worth, I'm genuinely happy for you. You deserve all of this. The success, the family, the happiness. You always did. Thank you, Ryan. That means something. He nodded and walked away. Zara watched him go, this man who'd once been her whole world, now just a footnote in her story. She felt no anger, no bitterness. Just peace. Desung met her halfway across the parking lot, taking Maya from her arms and wrapping his free arm around her waist. What did he want? Desung asked, his voice careful. To apologize. To tell me he's happy for me. To say goodbye, I think. The real goodbye we never got. And how do you feel? Zara leaned into him, breathing in his familiar scent. Free. Completely, totally free. Good. Desung pressed a kiss to her hair. Because we have reservations in an hour, and I'd rather not be late celebrating my brilliant, award-winning, absolutely incredible wife. You're mostly patient, occasionally terrifying, definitely sleep-deprived wife, Zara corrected with a laugh. All of the above. Desung grinned. And I love every version of you. They walked to the car together, Maya already dozing against her father's tattooed chest. Zara looked at her family, so different from what she'd imagined a year ago, so much better than anything she'd dared to hope for, and felt gratitude wash over her. She'd been sold for $50 million. Discarded like she was nothing. Told she wasn't good enough. And now she was worth $3 billion, had a family built on honesty and love, and ran an empire that was changing the architecture industry. But more than all of that, she was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. That night, after dinner and after putting Maya to bed, Zara and Desung stood on their penthouse balcony looking out at the glittering city below. "Do you ever regret it?" Zara asked. "Giving up your revenge? Legitimizing everything? Choosing this life over the one you had before?" Desung was quiet for a moment, then pulled her closer. "I spent 30 years planning revenge. Building power. Preparing to destroy the man who destroyed me. And you know what? What? It felt empty. Even when I was executing the plan, even when Gregory was arrested and everything was finally happening, it felt hollow. Because revenge doesn't heal anything. It just gives you something to focus on instead of dealing with the pain." He turned her to face him, his tattooed hands gentle on her face. "But you? Loving you, building a life with you, watching you become the powerhouse you were always meant to be? That healed something I didn't even know was broken. You gave me something better than revenge. You gave me peace." Zara felt tears prick her eyes. "I love you. So much it scares me sometimes." "Good." Desung kissed her softly. "Because I love you more than I thought it was possible to love anyone. You and Maya are my world. My entire world." "We're having another baby," Zara blurted out. Desung froze. "What?" "I found out this morning. I was going to tell you at dinner, but then Maya spit up on your shirt and the moment passed and..." Desung kissed her, deep and passionate and full of joy. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. "We're having another baby? A boy this time, if the test is right." "A boy." Desung's voice was full of wonder. "A son. Are you happy?" Zara asked, suddenly nervous. "Happy?" Desung laughed, lifting her off her feet and spinning her around. "I'm ecstatic. Terrified, but ecstatic." He set her down gently, his hands immediately going to her still flat stomach. "When?" 7 months. "I'm only about 8 weeks along." 7 months. Desung's expression turned serious. "I need to finish the nursery. And we should look at bigger places. Desung, we live in a penthouse. We have plenty of space. But 2 kids. We'll be fine." Zara laughed. "We've handled hostile takeovers and FBI investigations. I think we can handle 2 kids." "You're right." Desung pulled her close again. "We can handle anything. Together." "Together," Zara agreed. 3 years later, the Kong Empire, renamed after the merger of Desung and Zara's companies, was the 3rd largest architecture and development firm in North America. Gregory was in year 2 of a 15-year prison sentence. Victoria had retired from public life after several of her business partners exposed her manipulative tactics. Ryan worked as Senior VP of Operations, engaged to his teacher girlfriend Sarah, and by all accounts was genuinely trying to be a better man. Melissa Chin had become a junior architect at Lennox Architecture, thriving in her newfound independence and building a career on her own merit. And Zara and Desung stood on their penthouse balcony, watching 3-year-old Maya and 18-month-old Marcus play with building blocks inside, while Zara's hand rested on her growing belly. Baby number 3 was due in 4 months. "How do you do it?" Desung asked, genuine wonder in his voice. "Run a billion-dollar company, raise 2 kids with a 3rd on the way, win awards, give speeches that change lives, and still find time to make me fall more in love with you every single day?" Zara laughed. "I have an incredible partner who does half the work and never makes me feel like I should be doing it all alone." "Damn right." Desung kissed her temple. "Equal partnership or nothing. Remember when you offered me a marriage of convenience? Zara asked, smiling at the memory. Separate bedrooms, no expectations, just a business arrangement. I was an idiot. Desung groaned. Trying to protect myself from feeling too much. From wanting too much. And now? Now I can't imagine a single day without you. You, the kids, this chaotic beautiful life we've built. It's everything I never knew I needed. Inside, Maya shrieked with laughter as Marcus knocked over her block tower. Zara watched her children play, so loved and secure, growing up in a home built on honesty and respect. You know what I realized? Zara said quietly. Ryan actually did me the biggest favor of my life. How's that? If he'd chosen me, I would have spent my whole life trying to be good enough for his family. Shrinking myself. Changing myself. I would have built his dreams instead of my own. Had his version of a family instead of this one. She gestured to their children, their home, their life. I would have been comfortable. Probably even happy sometimes. But I wouldn't have been free. I wouldn't have been fully myself. And I definitely wouldn't have found this, a partner who celebrates my strength instead of fearing it. A love that grows instead of shrinking. A life that's mine on my own terms. Desung pulled her close. You would have been brilliant no matter what path you chose. But I'm selfishly glad you chose this one. That you chose me. Best decision I ever made, Zara said, meaning every word. Her phone buzzed with an email notification. She glanced at it and smiled. What? Desung asked. Invitation to speak at Columbia's graduation ceremony. They want me to give the commencement address. Of course they do. You're Zara Kong, empire builder, award winner, inspiration to women everywhere. I'm also exhausted, covered in toddler snack crumbs, and currently experiencing heartburn from this pregnancy, Zara added with a laugh. And still the most beautiful, brilliant woman I've ever known. Desung kissed her softly. Are you going to accept? Yes. I think I have some things to say to young women starting their careers. 6 weeks later, Zara stood at a podium in front of thousands of Columbia graduates, their families filling the stadium. She was visibly pregnant now, glowing in an elegant navy dress, her natural hair in beautiful curls. Graduates, she began, her voice strong and clear, I'm going to tell you something your parents might not want to hear. Something that goes against everything you've probably been taught about success and happiness. The crowd leaned forward, intrigued. You are going to fail. Spectacularly. Probably more than once. You're going to have your heart broken. Your dreams crushed. Your worth questioned. People you love will betray you. Opportunities you counted on will disappear. And in those moments, you will question everything about yourself. Parents shifted uncomfortably. But the graduates were riveted. When I was 26, I was traded for $50 million. The man I loved signed a contract that said a business deal was worth more than 3 years of our relationship. His family looked at my degrees, my awards, my accomplishments and said, not good enough. Not our kind of people. She let that sink in. I could have let that define me. Could have believed them. Could have spent my life trying to prove I was worthy of people who would never see my value. But instead, I learned the most important lesson of my life. Zara paused, making eye contact with students across the stadium. Other people's inability to see your worth says absolutely nothing about your value. It only reveals their own limitations. Your worth is not up for debate. It's not determined by who accepts you, who hires you, who loves you, or who validates you. It's inherent. It's absolute. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you stop wasting time on people and places that can't appreciate what you bring. Applause rippled through the crowd. So here's my advice. Build your own empire. Define success on your own terms. Choose partners, in business and in life, who celebrate your strength instead of fearing it. Who see you as an equal, not a trophy or a threat. Who choose you consistently, not just when it's convenient. She looked at Desung in the front row, holding Marcus while Maya sat on his shoulders, all three of them beaming at her with pure love and pride. And when someone shows you they don't value you, believe them the first time. Don't wait for the second betrayal. Don't make excuses. Don't shrink yourself hoping they'll finally see you. Just walk away. Build something better. Become something they'll spend the rest of their lives regretting they underestimated. The graduates erupted in applause. Several were crying. Parents looked uncomfortable but thoughtful. You are graduating from one of the finest institutions in the world. You have skills, knowledge, and potential that can change the world. Don't waste it trying to fit into someone else's narrow vision of who you should be. Build your own vision. Create your own path. And never, ever let anyone make you feel like you're not enough. She held up her degree, the one she'd earned years ago from this very institution. This piece of paper opened doors. But it was my refusal to accept other people's limitations that built an empire. It was choosing myself, even when it was scary and uncertain, that led to real happiness. It was demanding honesty over pretty lies that brought me real love. Zara's voice strengthened for her final point. So go out there and fail. Get your heart broken. Face rejection. But every single time someone tells you that you're not enough, I want you to remember this moment. Remember that a woman they deemed unworthy is standing here, running a billion-dollar empire, living a life beyond anything they could have given her. Remember that the best revenge is success. And then go build something so magnificent that anyone who underestimated you spends the rest of their lives knowing exactly what they lost. The stadium erupted. A standing ovation that went on for minutes. Graduates threw their caps in the air, screaming their agreement. Parents applauded, many with tears in their eyes. And Desung stood with their children, clapping harder than anyone, his face full of pride and love. After the ceremony, several young women approached Zara, thanking her through tears for her honesty. One young black woman, cap and gown still on, clutched Zara's hand. "Thank you," she said, crying. "My boyfriend's family has been telling him I'm not good enough. Not the right background." I was starting to believe them. But hearing you, seeing what you built after being rejected, it gave me permission to walk away. To choose myself. Zara pulled her into a hug. You are enough. More than enough. And any family that can't see that doesn't deserve you. Walk away with your head high and build something they'll never touch. The young woman nodded, squared her shoulders, and walked away with new determination in her step. Desung appeared beside Zara, Marcus on his hip, Maya holding his hand. You just changed that girl's life. Good. Zara took Marcus from him, kissing her son's chubby cheek. That's what this is all about. Making sure the next generation of women doesn't waste years of their lives on people who can't see their worth. Like you almost did, Desung said quietly. Like I almost did, Zara agreed. But Ryan's betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me to see my own value. It pushed me toward you. It made me build this life instead of settling for one that would have slowly killed my spirit. Do you ever hate him for what he did? Desung asked. Zara thought about it honestly. No. I pity him sometimes. He had something real and threw it away for his family's approval. He'll spend the rest of his life knowing he destroyed his own happiness. That's a heavier burden than any revenge I could design. You're a better person than I am, Desung said with a smile. No, I just learned that holding on to anger only poisons you. Gregory is in prison for his crimes. Ryan is living with the consequences of his choices. Victoria has lost her social standing. They've all paid for what they did. I don't need to keep collecting payment. She shifted Marcus to her other hip, her pregnant belly making the movement awkward. Desung immediately stepped in to help, his hands steadying her. What I need is to focus on this. On us. On our kids. On building something beautiful instead of dwelling on something ugly. Have I told you lately that you're incredible? Desung asked. Not in the last hour, Zara teased. Then I'm slipping. You're incredible, brilliant, beautiful, and I fall more in love with you every single day. Maya tugged on Desung's sleeve. Daddy, I'm hungry. Me too, princess. Let's get your mom fed too. She's eating for 2. 3, Zara corrected, gesturing to herself and the baby. Right. Eating for 2 people. You and baby. They walked to the car, a family built on honesty, respect, and love. A family that chose each other every single day. A family that proved real love was possible when it was built on truth instead of transactions. That night, after the kids were asleep and they were finally alone, Zara and Desung sat on their balcony under the stars. The city sprawled below them, millions of lights representing millions of lives, millions of stories. Do you ever wonder what they're thinking? Zara asked, looking out at the skyline. Ryan, Victoria, Gregory in his cell. Do you think they have regrets? Gregory definitely does, Desung said. He lost everything. His freedom, his empire, his reputation. He'll die in prison knowing his own greed and violence destroyed his legacy. And Victoria? Victoria lost her power base. Her social standing. Her ability to control everyone around her. She's probably bitter, angry, and blaming everyone but herself. And Ryan? Desung was quiet for a moment. Ryan has regrets. Real ones. He knows exactly what he lost. Sees it every day when he comes to work and watches you command the company he used to think would be his. When he sees us together, sees our family, sees the life you built without him. Does that make you feel good? Knowing he regrets it? Honestly? Desung pulled her closer. I don't think about him enough to care. He's an employee. A decent one, actually. He's learned humility, learned to work hard, learned to value people over status. But he's not important to our story anymore. He's just a footnote. A cautionary tale about what happens when you choose wrong. Zara rested her head on his shoulder. I saw him at the office last week. He brought Sarah by to meet some people. She seems really nice. Normal. She teaches 2nd grade and volunteers at animal shelters and just likes him for who he is. Good for him. He looked happy. Not polished and perfect like he used to be. Just content. Like he finally figured out what actually matters. People can change, Desung acknowledged. If they want to badly enough. If they're willing to do the work. Like you did, Zara said softly. Legitimizing everything. Cutting ties with the darkness. Choosing peace over revenge. I had motivation, Desung said, his hand moving to her belly where their 3rd child grew. I had everything to lose if I didn't change. And everything to gain if I did. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just being together. No agenda, no crisis, no drama. Just peace. I have a confession, Zara finally said. What? Sometimes I look at old photos from before everything happened. Me and Ryan at galas, dinners, vacations. And I barely recognize that woman. She looks like me, but she seems so small. So desperate for approval. So unsure of herself. And now? Now I know who I am. What I'm worth. What I deserve. And I'll never shrink myself again for anyone. Desung kissed her hair. Good. Because I fell in love with you at full volume. All your brilliance, all your strength, all your fire. I never want the dimmed down version. You're stuck with the full volume version forever, then. Perfect. Zara's phone buzzed with a message. She glanced at it and smiled. Who is it? Desung asked. Melissa. She just got promoted to lead architect on the new downtown project. She's over the moon. That's the Melissa who was supposed to marry Ryan? Yep. She ended up being one of my best hires. Talented, hardworking, and finally living her own life instead of her mother's vision. You changed her life too, Desung observed. I just gave her a chance to change her own life. That's all any of us need sometimes. A chance. An opportunity. Someone who believes in us enough to open a door. Like I did for you? Like we did for each other, Zara corrected. You gave me a chance to see my worth. I gave you a chance to choose peace over revenge. We saved each other. We did, Desung agreed. And we built something neither of us could have built alone. The best partnerships are like that, Zara said. Where 1 + 1 equals something exponentially greater than 2. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was India, her best friend and business partner. India wants to know if you're free next Tuesday for the charity board meeting. The Women's Empowerment Fund we started? Yep. We've raised over $50 million in the last year. We're funding scholarships, business grants, legal aid for women leaving abusive situations. Making a real difference. $50 million, Desung repeated thoughtfully. The exact amount Ryan sold you for. Zara hadn't made that connection. You're right. That's poetic. It's perfect. He sold you for $50 million. You turned around and used $50 million to empower other women. You took something ugly and made it beautiful. That's what we do, Zara said simply. We take the broken pieces and build something better. They sat together watching the city until Zara yawned, her pregnancy exhaustion catching up to her. Bed, Desung said, helping her up. You and baby number 3 need rest. We also need ice cream, Zara admitted. Already in the freezer. Mint chocolate chip, cookie dough, and that weird pickle flavor you've been craving. It's not weird, it's inspired. It's weird, baby. But I love you enough to keep it stocked. Later, in bed with ice cream and late-night television, Zara felt complete contentment wash over her. This was happiness. Not the performative kind she'd chased with Ryan, where everything had to look perfect. This was real happiness. Messy, imperfect, and absolutely genuine. I have something for you, Desung said, reaching into his nightstand. If it's more ice cream, I'm marrying you again. Better. He pulled out a small box. Zara's heart skipped. Desung, we're already married. You don't need to. Just open it. Inside was a delicate necklace with a pendant showing 3 small stones, one for each of their children. It's perfect, Zara breathed. When did you? I've been working with a jeweler for months. Each stone represents one of our kids. Maya's birthstone, Marcus's, and I left space to add the new babies once they're born. Zara's eyes filled with tears. You're going to make me cry, and I'm already an emotional mess from pregnancy hormones. Good tears though. The best tears. She kissed him deeply. I love you. So much. I love you too. Forever. They fell asleep wrapped in each other, ice cream forgotten, television still playing softly in the background. 2 people who'd found each other in the wreckage of betrayal and built something beautiful from the ashes. The next morning, Zara woke to find Desung already up with the kids, making pancakes shaped like animals while Maya and Marcus shrieked with laughter. She stood in the doorway for a moment, just watching her family, feeling overwhelming gratitude. This was what she'd been searching for all along. Not perfection. Not status. Not approval from people who would never truly see her. This. Real love. Real partnership. Real family. Her phone buzzed with a news alert. Kong Empire awarded Contract of the Year for innovative sustainable design. They'd done it. Built the largest architecture firm in the country. Changed industry standards. Created jobs. Designed buildings that would stand for generations. And they'd done it together, as equals, as partners, as 2 people who chose each other every single day. Desung looked up and saw her watching. Morning, beautiful. Hungry? Starving. Good, because I made enough pancakes to feed an army. Zara joined her family at the table, accepting the slightly burnt giraffe pancake Maya handed her with pride, watching Marcus smear syrup all over his face, feeling Desung's hand find hers under the table. This was victory. Not crushing her enemies, though that had happened too. Not proving her worth, though she'd done that beyond anyone's expectations. This was victory. Choosing herself. Building a life on her own terms. Finding love that celebrated instead of diminished her. Ryan had sold her for $50 million. She'd turned that rejection into a billion-dollar empire, a family built on love, and a life that exceeded her wildest dreams. And every single day, she was grateful for his betrayal. Because it had freed her to become exactly who she was always meant to be. Some women come back for closure. Others come back to collect. Zara Kong had come back to build an empire. And that empire was just getting started. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt underestimated or discarded, drop a comment below sharing your thoughts. Would you choose dangerous truth over comfortable lies? And don't forget to subscribe for more emotional stories about women who refuse to stay broken. Hit that like button if you believe real love is built on honesty, not transactions. Your support means everything and helps us bring you more stories that make you feel deeply. Thanks for watching, and remember, you are enough. You always have been. Now go build something they'll never forget.